didn't carry Milana in my womb for 9 months, but in my heart and in my soul, I've carried her way more than 9 months. She's been a product of our years of prayer and years of conversations with God, and she's ours. You know, she's ours, really and truly. Like, she's ours. You know what I mean? And I'm sure you get what I mean.
When I was asking that question, I realized na, oh nga, how did I overcome that? I think by just God appointing me. He's mine. Moses is mine. God qualified me by giving him to me. So, dun pa lang, nakakalma na yung fears ko na, oh nga, I'm his real mom. Ako yung mom niya. God already qualified me for it. So, he gave Moses to me, so I'm the real mom. And regardless of what happens in the future, my son wanted to meet his biological family one day.
Being a mom starts with really the decision. Once you say yes, because people are so afraid to say yes because they want to feel like the mom first. No, you say yes, and then you feel like a mom. You'll just feel that protective side of you, I guess.
Well, I would advise parents who adopted their child to tell their adopted child as early as possible. You know, the younger, the better. You know, and let them say it in a positive way that they're a gift from God.
I think it's teaching me, like I said earlier, just the heart of God is all about sacrifice. And he left the 99 to go after the one. He sacrificed his son to adopt, and learning how to love first with Chloe, and understanding that kind of sacrificial love where it's not about biology and it's about deciding and choosing, and that it's a privilege. It's really teaching me, you know, that love is action. Love is sacrifice.
It's not about just providing for your family. It's not providing for your family. It's about raising the next generation and allowing them to, you know, to be impacted by Jesus the way Jesus impacted you. You know, and how you model that. How can you model if you're not home? How can you model and mentor if you're not home?
Actually, we coin it this way. First, we say, bring your mission home.
Okay.
Everybody has a mission by heart, right? I can't figure out what my mission is. And everyone knows, okay, I give my tithes, I give my money, but there's something I want to do on my own. But I can't go to Timbuktu, I can't go to Africa, I can't go, what's my mission? So we coined the phrase. I say it's very simple. Bring your mission home.
One way or another, God's going to make sure he's going to provide for you, for your needs, for that child's need. Just do the right part. You know, someone once said, stop asking God to bless what you're doing. Find out what God's doing because it's already blessed. So I think that we all need to look at, okay, let's not look at what's in front of us as far as finances and our circumstance and all this. Let's just do it, and God's going to bless it somehow, some way. Let's just trust God that he's going to come through for us.
So my advice to all fathers out there, and of course to all parents who be parents, is that just be ready for it, because it's not going to be easy. Sure, yeah. But of course, all the fun that you have and the love that you're going to get from your children makes it worth it. And it's I mean, I'll do it 10 times over just to have that feeling of, you know, of having children who love you and call you daddy and call you mommy. That's priceless. You can't put a price tag on that.
I mean, 1.8 million of orphans, neglected, abandoned children. If one church could provide one family, I think by the grace of God, we can see no more orphans in our nation.
I was telling her, he should have treated her 3 times. Way until eventually, before she was 5, she was asking the question, and we were able to sort it out really well.
We're here because adoption was God's idea, and we hope the church would catch on to that. And so that's really the heart of the Rohe Foundation.
You will impact generations of people. Because that person will be married, will have children, and children's children. I'll tell you, the impact you make in their lives will impact future generations of people. There are no unwanted children, just unfound families. I hope we can find some of them right here in this room.
This is the truth that the world needs to hear today. That adoption is at the very heart of the gospel.
And adoption is a beautiful thing. It's not plan B. We adopted because we saw just how beautiful adoption was in the Bible.
And much closer to home, I mean, to you guys is, the traditional or popular way of help or volunteering wherein people go to orphanages. And I agree with you, Tina. Our philosophy as well in giving culture is that children deserve to be in families. That's why, we've decided to support Rohe Foundation because we believe in that philosophy. We believe that the best way for the children to experience, a flourishing future is to be with families, not to be institutionalized. And when we visit as volunteers to, orphanages, shelters, to check it out and play for a bit, and not really have a plan to partner with them long term, right? It does more harm psychologically, especially that these are vulnerable populations of children. So we try to avoid those things.
Life was good. We were blessed. We had been married for a couple of years. We were enjoying life in Singapore, and we had a baby on the way. These were answers to our prayers. These were sources of comfort. However, comfort does have the habit of slipping away. 5 months in and 1 heartbeat less, we saw the perfect life we pictured slip from our grasp. There was pain, there was brokenness, there was sadness. After months of anticipating joy, we found ourselves in the middle of unimaginable grief. Across Southeast Asia and the Philippines, grief has made itself known to many parents, not due to the loss of a life, but the giving away of one. Soft hands and fragile skin sold to feed mouths and fill pockets for a day. There's no hate in the giving away, only desperation. desperation brought about by circumstance, desperation that leads to child trafficking, infant prostitutes, child criminals, abandonment. It's tough to see the demand for such a business at such a high level. Billions of dollars being used to fund the violation of innocent bodies, some too young to even comprehend the pain. Even more, it's tough to know that this is being done in the land we grew up in, right in the city we call home. Our hearts beat for these children, so much so that it beats for a specific one. If we were to be advocates for these children, then we must first be examples. In October 2017, a pregnant mother couldn't keep her child. So with desperation, she searched for someone to be the one to hold her baby in their arms. We wanted to help, and so we did. But we never knew that it would be our hands that God would use to cradle this child. 3 weeks in, and one heartbeat more, we had her in our grasp. Our hearts were filled with love and our souls refashioned. We are no heroes, just followers answering a call. Had we chosen to reject the call, turn our heads away, or hesitate even for a moment, our child would have been one of many whose body has become a commodity. She is one less child prostituted, one less child trafficked, one less child abandoned, one less child lost in the system, one less child victim, one less orphan. But she is just one less. There are millions of children out there who may never have access to a family, access to care, to nourishment, to shelter, to safety, to a childhood. But if more people extended their arms to these children, if the stigma behind adoption was redefined to be a culture of love, then 2 less children would be trafficked, 10 less children abandoned, 1,000 less children criminals, 1 million less children victims to this injustice. And instead, more children would be welcomed home by families. We'll treat them with love, provide them with nourishment, house them in shelter, care for their safety, and allow for them to have a childhood. Now, the call is great, but the answer is simple. It's a heart willing to serve and a courageous kind of love. It's open arms and open homes. At the Rohe Foundation, we advocate for adoption. As of 2016, 1.8 million children in the Philippines were considered abandoned or neglected. And out of that 1.8 million, only 1,818 were placed for adoption. So as a response, the Rohe Foundation aims to develop programs that provide holistic care for pregnant women in crisis, to rescue babies before they are abandoned and disowned, and to encourage and guide families in their adoption journey. Through this, we hope to see a world where every orphan is adopted into a family, and that all families would be empowered to move in compassion and generosity toward children in need of families. Because at the end of the day, family is the answer.
Hi, everybody. Sorry, let me try that again. Good afternoon. My name is Karina Henson. So glad that you can join us today for another episode of What Makes a Real Mom. Really excited to be spending this afternoon with you. I see a lot of people are starting to get on the stream. So if you're watching, we do encourage you to share this video through your Facebook pages. You could host a watch party if you like, or you could just share the link. Make sure to tag people that you might know who maybe are a bit curious about adoption, or like a little bit more information, or just would be interested in hearing more about this topic. So we're glad to have you. Again, I'm with the Rohe Foundation, and if it's your first time joining us, then I thought I would tell you a little bit about Rohe Foundation and what we do. We are a nonprofit organization based in Manila, Philippines. and our heart is really to advocate for adoption. There are plenty of children's homes across the nation, but we believe that family is the answer, and that adoption is one way that you could build your family. And so we hope to provide enough information about that. And our website has a lot of resources that you might want to visit. And you might want to check out. You can visit our website and you'll be able to see some of the resources we have available that will tell you a little bit more about the advocacy that we run. So that's the Rohe Foundation. Feel free to reach out to us if you have questions. We have recently launched our adoption consultation calendar for the month of September. So we do invite you to schedule an adoption consultation with us. This is open to just about anybody who might have questions about adoption. This is not just for those who have serious or who have already seriously thought about this. If you're still in a very casual consideration place, we still invite you to schedule a consultation with us. We would love to just sit down and share our hearts with you and be able to see how we might be able to provide you with more information and the information you might need to decide whether or not this is the right thing for you. So do reach out to us and feel free to schedule an adoption consultation with us. The link was flashed just shortly, and we'll put that in the chat box as well. But we have a lot of events going on, so we do invite you to like our social media pages here on Facebook as well as on Instagram, so that you can stay up to date with everything that's going on. All right. And as I mentioned, this is the What Makes a Real Mom, another episode of What Makes a Real Mom. We actually started this campaign back in May, and it was designed to be a Mother's Day campaign, but we quickly realized that there are too many moms that have such inspiring stories, and we would love to give these moms the platform and an avenue to bring these stories to you. So we've decided to extend that campaign and have it run all throughout the year. And, it's really, the reason it's called What Makes a Real Mom is, it's a personal story to me. I have a daughter who has come to me through adoption, Chloe, and I have a son who I gave birth to last year. And I remember when I was pregnant with my son, I got asked a question, or a comment. Somebody made a comment to me and said, "So Karina, how does it feel now that you're going to have a real child?" And I was definitely taken aback a little bit. I know this person was well-meaning and had great intentions. But, I thought, I really became a mom when I had Chloe. And I was a real mom then, and she's a real daughter to me in every sense of the word. And I couldn't love her more. And I realized that that's a common thread amongst moms who have adopted, that what makes me a mother is not simply the biological connection to the child, but that I've made a decision to love this child for the rest of my life and to treat her like my own. And so that's what makes a real mom. And we hope that you'll be inspired by today's guest. She is a good friend of mine. I have spoken to her a lot in the last few weeks and months, especially through the lockdown, and I've gotten to know her really well and gotten to know her family, and I believe you're really going to be inspired by her. Her name is Malen Papadopoulos, and she is an advocate at heart. I'm going to get her to tell you a little bit about her story, but really at the heart of her is someone who understands the heart of God for adoption, the heart of God for the orphan. And she's moved her life to the Philippines to be an advocate. She actually sits on the board of Philippines Without Orphans, which is another fabulous organization that I encourage you to get in touch with. And she also is let me get this right. She's the Asia coordinator for Orphan Sunday and CAFO, or Christian Alliance for Orphans. So I encourage you guys to listen in. If you have questions, be sure to type them out on the chat, and we'll be sure to get to them today while we chat with her. But without further ado, I do want you to meet Malen. So, hi, Malen.
Hi.
Hello. How are you?
Good. Hello.
Oh, it's always so nice to see you.
Thank you. Yeah, good afternoon to everyone.
Yeah,
God bless be here, Karina. Really.
Oh, likewise. We're so glad you said yes to coming on board and sharing a little bit with us about your story.
Of course.
So before we get started, I kept everybody hanging. I wanted you to introduce your family and tell us a little bit about yourself and Mike and your kids, and introduce them all to us.
Okay, well, actually, you mentioned while you were introducing me that I came here to the Philippines to advocate for orphans. Well, of course, you know me. You see me. I'm Filipina, right?
Yes.
Born and raised here in the Philippines. And so then God has just opened the door for me to become a missionary to Costa Rica in 1990s, actually in the 90s. So through that, so I live in Costa Rica, involved in the children's ministry, and then God has opened the door again for me to help a missionary friend of mine to start a church in South Carolina. So that's where God has brought me to the West. And in 19 so that was in 90s, and in 94 I met Mike Papadopoulos. Of course, his half Greek and half American. And 94, of course, when we met in January. And you know, Karina, if you know that the right person has come along, you know, and you know that he is the person that you want to spend old life together, you know. And so hindi na kami nagtagal in
You didn't
July.
waste any time.
Yeah. So in 6 months, with that 6 months, we just got married.
That's so
And
awesome.
I know. So it was a great one journey. And then in 1997, of course, that's when, you know, Michaela came along, July 1997. And that's when you said, what makes a real mom mom? And that's when I started to become a mom too. In fact, you know, I think having Michaela, and that's where it started. You know, sometimes others experiences, you know, from a lot of moms. Maybe there's a lot of moms listening today. Uh, Sometimes motherhood comes naturally, you know. Sometimes it comes acquired, developed, you know, from
Yeah.
experiences from other moms that already had their babies and children, and you're just kind of going along with them. Or sometimes you learn all this motherhood being learning from reading research, and then, you know, but naturally, really, it's our god-given gift to us as mothers.
Right.
And because I got married in the maybe later years. I don't want to tell my so so I just asked the Lord. I said, Lord, just give me one, just to experience motherhood. And he really did. He gave me one.
Wow.
So, and after that, all right. And then well, I can probably tell you more about Mateo later.
Okay. So your journey into motherhood actually started first with Michaela.
Correct. So it's
right?
just like it, right?
Yeah. So Michaela, and how old is Michaela now?
She's 23. She just
She's-
turned 23
She
years
just
old.
turned 23. Wow. She's a grown up. So you have like an adult at home. And I'm sure she's a great big sister. As you mentioned, you then later on, God brought Mateo into your lives. And
Right.
what year was that, and how did that come about?
Well, okay. So since she said we came all the way from the States to bring the advocacy for adoption and for foster or the orphan care ministry, is, you know, Karina, being in the States for a long time, uh, and then work in the four walls of church. You know, you've done it all, you know, from the Ministry of Health, from the Children's Ministry. So you've done all those ministry in church, right? And this is my wish, and for every believers to really ask the Lord, because when I found out, Karina, when you do ask the Lord what else, He will really
He'll
answers.
tell you.
He does, right? So
Yeah.
that's probably what I did ask him. In 2006, I said, Lord, it's kind of becoming boring now to be inside the four wall church,
Oh, that's a
Let
scary
me
thing to
out.
tell the Lord.
Let me out of here. Let me out of here. So when I said, what else, Lord? So that's when it started. That's when God impressed in my heart, James 1:27. And probably everyone knows that James 1:27, to pure and religion is to take care of the orphans and the widows. And by the time, really, Trina, it's 2006, and I said, what should I do with this verse? I really don't know. I don't have any idea. So by then I've been journaling, so I do make journals, so I really just put it in my journal in 2006, and lo and behold, I just put it in the shelf, really. So because I
Okay.
really don't know what to do. I said to myself, should I build orphanages? Should I be a director to an orphanages and care
Right.
for the orphans? I really don't know. I don't have any whatsoever knowledge about that verse. So I just put it in the shelf. But it took 4 years to bring into realization. And 2007, I've been coming back and forth to the Philippines for a short-term missions,
Okay.
because that's really has been my heart to travel
Yep.
and to do missions. So from there, I bring short-term missions people to the Philippines from 2007, 8, 9. And then I knew in my heart, but I still don't know the God's direction. I know in my heart and said, if in 2010, I talked to my senior pastor at my church in South Carolina. I said, when I leave 2010 or 2011, it will be a long term. It's not short term mission anymore, but it will be a long term. But I still don't know about that. So now, in 2010, I kind of back to my journal, and that's when I read that verse again.
That was
And
4 years later.
yes, actually, yeah, it took me 4 years to realize that this is God's heart, that this is
Wow.
what the Lord is talking and giving us an assignment for this one for orphan care. And then when I realized that, then everything is coming into picture. A friend of mine from that I don't talk so much just came and said, "Hey, Malen, can you come and attend on orphan care? We do have an adoption forum." Just like that, out of the blue, right? And then, okay, I attended, and that's when I started wow, okay, that children needs a family. Children belongs to a family. Children needs a home. And I said, oh, wow. So, and then after that, another friend that attended a conference brought back a brochure after a week. And she said, hey, Malen, I think I want to give this to you because I met a couple, that were missionaries to the Philippines, and they've been in the Philippines for quite some time. And here's the brochure. And lo and behold, in the brochure, they're looking for a missionary that would like to help them with the work in the Philippines. And guess what? It's about orphan care, about
Wow.
adoption and foster care. So I called them and I said, look, I think who you're looking for me, because I checked in the boxes. I think I'm qualified to go back. Because for me, I said, I didn't even ask the Lord, where will He send me? I just said, hey, I'm a Filipina. I grew
It
up in
made
the
sense.
Philippines. Yes, I know the culture, I speak the language, and there are orphans, many orphans in the Philippines. There's
Right.
1.8 million orphans, neglected, abandoned children, orphan children in the Philippines. Where else should I go? So, pow, lo and behold,
Wow.
so, in fact, the couple says, "Oh, you're not ready. You need to be trained here first." I said, "No, we're going in 2011." That was probably the last months of the year 2010, and then in 2011 of January, that's when we came back to the Philippines, and that's when
Wow.
we start orphan care awareness here in the city.
Well, wow, Milan, I realize it's coming to 10 years, a decade of you and Mike serving and really getting deep into the heart of God for the orphan and acting on it. So, congratulations. What an amazing 10 years it must have been for the two of you. And to even think about how that impacted not just your passion and your heart, but your family. So, can you tell us a little bit about how Mateo came into your lives? I know that there's a journey there of you guys setting up your ministry here in the Philippines, but eventually, when you guys you had met Mateo, and I would love for you to share how he became part of your family.
Certainly, certainly. Actually, before Mateo, we fostered three more children. Uh,
Wow. Okay.
that's why when in 2012, when we came in 2012, we licensed ourselves. So in 3 months, we got licensed. In a week, we got these two siblings right away.
Awesome.
So that's why when you get your license, hey, they
It's
will
quick.
call you. They will call you right away. Why? Because there's so many children out there waiting to be fostered in a adopt,
Wow.
to be in a family. So they will not wait. They will call you right away. So as soon as we got our license, they said, "Look, Mr. and Mrs. Papadopoulos, we do have these siblings that are neglected. Can you take them in?" Should we say no? Of course we said yes, yes. And lo and behold, my goodness, can you imagine? I'm already done in my mothering infant, and here we are.
How old was Michaela then?
She was already 13. When we
13.
moved
Okay.
here, she's 13. So I'm done with the pampers and everything like
Yep.
that.
Diaper stage is done.
Diet stage and everything. But of course, this it's not a baby too. They're 3 and 5 years old. Can you
Okay.
imagine? We don't have any experience in foster care and everything. We just jump in and say, "Look, we just learn as we go."
Right.
That's how you do it. If you have the Lord, if you have Him partnering with you, let's just do it. So we um, we answered for that a call, and the two siblings are neglected, but then it got reunited to the families, to their parents.
How
So
long did they stay with you?
10 months
10
actually.
months. Wow,
10 months.
that's a long time.
Yes, and it's so funny because when they left, when they were reconnected and reunified, we're all having the echo of Tita Molan in the house, Tita Molan.
Oh.
And so you will really really miss those joys and fun that you have. And then after that, we probably have a month or a week again, and then here comes the DSWD again and say, "Mr. and Mrs. Papadopoulos, we know that you don't have a kid anymore. Can you take so and so?" So this time he is a young boy. He is 9 years old, and he came straight from the street. He's a street boy. So can you imagine? That's
What
another.
an
Okay,
adventure.
we're not discuss that. And he lived with us for 2 years. Uh,
Wow.
in fact, when he came to us, he never know how to write and read. So you know what I did? What we did? We knocked on private schools, Christian private school, and I said, "Look, would you wanted to partner with us raising this child? He needs help. So if you could do that," and praise the Lord, they did. So in 6 months, he learned how to read and write.
Wow.
So
Wow.
um, So he grew up with that, with us. He lived with us for 2 years, and then, right now we still communicate with our
That's
Mark.
wonderful.
Is now 16 or going 18, I think,
Was
or
he eventually adopted or reunified?
no, he is connected with a group that can meet more of his needs than
Okay.
us. So right now, my goodness, he became now a teacher for kids. He is playing his guitar in the church. And right now, I think yesterday he just contacted us and say, Tita Malen, if I haven't been with you, where will I be?
Wow.
But now, he said, but now I am bringing souls to the Lord. Now I'm sharing my testimony to the Lord. So it just brings
Wow.
so much joy, hearing from him that he grew up to be a great young man, and he's still growing in the Lord, and he's so excited. So now after that, guess what? Maybe a week or two or three, I don't know. We don't have
Wow.
we don't have a child in our house. So that's when we continue to visit the orphanage. And then that's when I asked the social worker how, well, okay, when I said with Mateo, we've been visiting this orphanage since 2012. So
Okay.
he was a toddler then in that orphanage. So we kind of watched him grow. So he's always quiet. Of course, he's deaf, so he's always in the corner playing by himself. So we watch, like that. And by that time, Michaela, we take Michaela with us as well to visit the orphanage, and it kind of caught her eye, and said, Mom, why don't we bring Mateo home? You know, and it then, by the time we're not prepared for that yet. So in 2015, when I asked how is Mateo in 2015, the social worker says, well, actually, we've been looking for a foster home because he needs a cochlear implant, and it's very very hard for him to be with the other kids, so he need to be in a home.
Right.
So when we hear that, need, of course, we talk with Mike and Michaela, and we said, well, what are we gonna do? So then we just answered the need. We just said, yes, okay, let's
We'll
take
do it.
him home. We can be his foster parents, while getting to that cochlear implant, and we can take care of him. Well, the difference between the two other three foster children, they have parents. Even with Mark, he has a family, and when he was with us, and I will ask him what he wants, he always say, I want to be with my family. So okay, then that's what we need to pray for. We want to pray that you will be reunited with your family one day. But I think, and then after a year taking care of Mateo with us, um, with Mateo, he's a foundling. Well, he's not a foundling. He has a mother and his birth certificate, but he really doesn't have a family. So that's really what kind of minister to us as a family. He doesn't have a family, and then gauging for us, we are able to take care of him. And then we said, well, and we can provide him safety, we can provide him protection, we can love him, we can nurture him, we are able to do that. Why not? So that's when we said we wanted to adopt Mateo.
Wow.
That's when, after a year.
That was after a year of fostering him.
Yes, after fostering him.
Okay, so what year was this that Mateo became a member of your family? This was 2015.
2015, October 15, 2015. Actually, his birthday is October 1st. So he was
Okay.
5 by. So when we brought him in the first day, so he is now, even though we're fostering him, he is our family.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
So, but then we in 2016, after months, turning October, and then 2016, half of 2016, we just told our social worker we wanted to adopt him.
Okay, right. So that's an amazing story. I think, I realize now that we've actually had Mike on the show in June as well for Father's Day, where he shared a little bit of your story when we did the Love is Thicker Than Blood series. And we got to hear a little bit about just the heart of God for adoption, and to see how you and Mike have lived that out, and all the way to bringing Mateo into your family, and from foster care now having made that decision to actually adopt him to become a permanent member of your family. It's just so wonderful. I think so many are encouraged by your heart. I see a lot of people actually commenting and, just saying what an awesome story, and truly God's hand is on, your journey as parents. But I know it hasn't been an easy journey, and you're a mom, and a real mom in every sense of the word. And you've taken in so many children. It's almost like you've had 5 that you've loved as your own, whether for a short
five,
right? Whether as for a short period of time, or I'm sure you'll carry them in your heart forever. But have you had to kind of wrestle with that? Have people questioned you, like, especially when you're fostering, do they say, like, is that your real child or not your real child? Have you ever had to wrestle with that question, or kind of come up and seek God about an answer for that for yourself?
Let me think. Not really. No one
okay.
No one had asked us. Oh, our first one, because what are the odds? The 2 kids, their dad is American, so
could have been. So it looked. Probably looked biologically possible, right?
Yes. They think they are ours, really, because what are the odds? We fostered mixed children too, bringing to a mixed family. So it's kind of cool.
But have you guys had to wrestle with, like, the language and the use of the words and terminologies to say that, you're Mateo's real mom? He might not have been able to spend his life with his biological mom. You're most definitely his real mom. And how was that journey for you in terms of loving him as your own, accepting him as your own, and the family dynamic around motherhood for you?
Well, okay, knowing that Michaela is already a grown up, so I think the challenge is this, like parenting Michaela, where it's very, very traditional. It's by the Bible, so she knows. So for her, seeing us parent Mateo is totally different, and that's always the challenge, because we always argue with my daughter and say, Michaela, he is different. What's the difference there? You raised me like this, you should be spanking him too, like that.
Oh my, yeah.
So I think that's the challenge for us, parenting Michaela and parenting Mateo is totally different, because how Mateo is. For Mateo, for us, we had to read a lot. We had to equip ourselves a lot. We had to a lot of people, and because that's so
great pictures.
So in his needs and his special needs, we understand him, of course, Mike and I, because we read and we educate. But our daughter, they're always have, of course, and saying, why are you not doing what you've done to me to Mateo? Why didn't you spank him? Well, why are you not spanking him? He is so spoiled, he's a spoiled brat, he likes everything, and you give him everything. We So that's probably the challenge, but we it's still here. She understand now,
Right.
but
And
educating her.
and you're saying this because actually, I don't know if we've been able to mention, but actually Mateo was born with some special needs, right? And
Right.
we were talking about this earlier because I think you're a real hero for being able to give your life in this way, and taking on a child with special needs, I'm sure is not easy, but it's made a wonderful family. So I just wanted you to share a little bit about how you considered that. It's never an easy decision for a family when they're thinking about that. You have to think about how much you can give and the capacity of your family and your daughter as well. So how did that come about, and how did you and Mike decide that you were going to be open to this, and what made you say yes?
What made us say yes? I think, not I think, I know from the hearts of our hearts, because we always talk about this, is if His love, God's love towards us, and His grace towards us, and if that is not so strong in our hearts, I don't think we can say yes either, because now I can understand other families, how they have their children as well as special needs, because it just it's not easy. It's a hard journey. It does it does need all patience, all your time, because see, think about it. For example, a 10-year-old normal child uh, can bathe themselves, can can do a lot of things. But then for a 10-year-old special need child, sometimes you have to help them. Can you imagine and doesn't know a lot of house chores and school, and everything is double or triple, or even to a point that for our Mateo, let me just talk about our Mateo because I don't know for others,
Right.
is he sometimes he doesn't understand so many things. I don't even know if he knows that I am his mama and Dada is Mike, but I really don't know if he really comprehend that
Sure.
mother and parent like that. So it's kind of hard to know, to even for him to comprehend things that you cannot talk things out to him because of his need, for his special needs. So everything, that's why I commend the families out there that are taking care of nurturing special need children, because now I know,
Yeah.
and now I know how it is and how hard it is,
Right.
uh, especially if they cannot. Can you imagine our son? Maybe his frustration is more towards us because he cannot speak, he cannot talk, he
Right.
can express himself. So we think that we are frustrated every day, but can you imagine his frustration every day, that he cannot even hear you, he cannot even. So it's to some degree, it's kind of, the level is different from other children.
What would you say is the key to making it work? Because um, it seems like you guys decided and said, we'll figure it out along the way. But would you say that it's for everybody, that everybody can do it? What would you say is the key? So if somebody's considering it and said, maybe we would think about it, how would they know that they can handle a child with special needs, that they're equipped for it, that they're ready?
I don't. We don't. I don't. I don't think I do have an answer for that, because for me, for us, we didn't even know how, but we did jump in. But I can tell you, but they have to really ask the Lord to pray about it, and then as this at the same time yes, this one, they have to talk to people,
Right.
to families that have the same. And you might be asking, what are the common negative misconceptions? Maybe they say, oh, it's additional financial obligations. Yes, it might be because it will add more for OT,
Yep.
PT, for
Right.
their needs, and a lot more. Not necessarily, their health, because Mateo, my goodness, he is so healthy.
Healthy.
And yeah, his physical fitness, and and everything. He's so. I don't see him. I don't think we've seen him sick since we have been. He's been with.
Wow.
Yes,
The really
maybe
strong immune system.
cold, yeah, colds and there, here and there, but it's not. He's never been down. He's always energetic. He's always so full of life. That's why I said sun up to sundown. He is always doing something. You have
Right.
always so. There's a lot to consider
Mhm.
when adopting a special need
What
child.
what would be helpful? What's been helpful for you guys? How have you and Mike found the strength and the energy to press on in this journey? Like you mentioned that it's been hard and there have been some really frustrating times, but what? How do you do it? What's the secret? Tell us the secret. How do you make it work?
It's no secret. It's the Lord. It's the Lord's strength and grace. Really, I can tell you, it's His grace and His strength. Because knowing that, again, knowing as being an advocate for orphans, to the vulnerable children, it's and also the trauma that they have been through. Knowing that, I think I can be more. Uh, Sympathetic to their needs than my need. You
Right.
know,
Okay.
it's more into, because it's not their fault. No, and then at the same time, so if it frustrates me, I will just think it does frustrates him more.
Even
You know,
more.
and so, if I will be asking that, or if it inconvenience me, maybe those are the things that also we need to. It can be inconvenience. You don't have rest. You're always looking after them because they are more susceptible to danger because of
Right.
their state, of their situations. All those things you have to consider as well. So, uh, but at the same token, again, as an advocate, or my compassion for the orphans is that, um, they didn't choose their state. So now, it has to be someone that can take care of them, and who are those but families and believers, Christians, lovers of the Lord, that can
Right.
really have that care and nurturing to them as well, because if it's not, who will?
Yeah.
you know
Right.
so
So I think you're saying too that it's your because of your understanding of the great need, right? Because you started as an advocate actually. And knowing what you know, I always say now that I know this about the reality in the world, it's so hard to go back. I can't unknow what I know, right? I can't pretend, I can't hide it from myself any longer. And I feel like I'm so uncomfortable with myself because I feel there's a response needed.
correct.
I
So
think you, as an advocate, you had known so much and seen so much, serving in different capacities and trying to mobilize orphan care in the Philippines. That was it. That you just said, I see the great need, and I can't unknow it anymore.
yeah, you cannot say no anymore. But at the same token, the reason why also we said yes is that I have a big family,
Okay.
that can help. It's not just you.
Wow.
That's
Yeah.
why the big thing is a support group, because you
Right.
cannot keep the load that heavy. And see, when Mateo came to us, it's not just Mike, Malen, and Michaela. We have my sister that lives with us. I have my niece, that lived with us, and then we have kasambahay. And so you have the extended help. It's not
Yeah.
really all you taking care and doing all the caring for him. But you have, and then if we go to the prophet, I have families that loves Mateo, that the Mateo is so welcome and accepted.
Wow.
His special needs is not a hindrance. They accepted him, they loved him. So even, for that is a great help already. And it's not burdening. It's less stress for you, because you can ask for a lot of help.
Right.
Like, as we know our limits, Mike and I know our limits. If we are really about to be burnt out, oh, we're gonna go bye bye. We're gonna because we know that he has a family that will love him as well and care for him, so we can do that. uh,
Right.
we we also do have that self-care, that
That's good. I'm
so that
so
we
glad you mentioned that.
yeah.
Yeah. Because the truth is, parenting, whether you're parenting children who have come to you through adoption or foster care, or whether you birthed them biologically, it can be tiring. And I think sometimes families sometimes zero in on it and blame it on the fact that the child came to you through adoption or came to you through foster care. But the reality I've come to find out for myself is that parenting is tiring. Parenting can be tiring. Parenting is work, and we need the grace of God to help us, whether the child came to us through our wombs, or God brought them in through a different way. So I really am so grateful for your heart, Miss Malen. I do want to ask you and switch gears a little bit and ask you a little bit about your role as an advocate. We mentioned earlier on that you actually sit on the board for Philippines Without Orphans. And on top of that, you are the Asia director or the Asia coordinator for CAFO and Orphan Sunday. And I'm really excited because Orphan Sunday is coming up, and Rohe Foundation is thrilled that this year we're going to be observing Orphan Sunday alongside you. And I just wanted you to tell us a little bit about Orphan Sunday, and if you could kind of introduce that to us and tell us the significance of Orphan Sunday, and maybe in the past, what are some of the things that you guys have done to not celebrate but observe Orphan Sunday?
Correct. Okay. Well, okay. In 2012, actually, we moved here 2011, and then 2012, I went back to the States and attended the CAFO Summit, Christian
Right.
Alliance Orphan Summit. And that's when I heard first of the Orphan Sunday. And
Okay.
since then, I said, wow, I need to start that in the Philippines. So when I came back to the Philippines, it's always second Sunday or second Sunday of every November.
Right.
So that's why 2012 is the first observance of Orphan Sunday here in the Philippines.
Okay. That was the year that was the first year that you guys were here.
No, we were here 2011, but I went
Okay.
back to the States to attend the summit of
And then
CAFO.
the next year you guys launched
Yeah.
that here in the Philippines.
Correct.
Okay.
So, but Orphan Sunday really is, it reflects God's heart, because He loves the orphans. That's the basic thing to know. And in 2002, the first Orphan Sunday observed in Kalingala, Zambia. There's this small church that by that Sunday, that second Sunday in November, he just felt in his heart that he wants to acknowledge the orphans, because of course in Africa, there's so many that were orphaned because of AIDS, because of wars, because of
Right.
any disease whatsoever. So there are so many orphans there. So the pastor challenged his congregation, how can they honor the orphans? And that when all the congregation just got up and then brought something, whatever they can bring, even shoes, they can just put it in the offering basket just to help our orphans. So that's how it started, Orphan Sunday in Zambia. And during that time, there is a American missionary that was there observing it, and he was just so deeply touched. Because of that, he helped the churches in Africa to really launch Orphan Sunday and observe Orphan Sunday. But not until in 2009 that the first observance of Orphan Sunday is in the U.S.
Okay.
So now, and I've said, I brought here in the Philippines 2012. And then, in 2019, there are 3,500 registered observants of Orphan Sunday globally in the
Wow.
Alliance for Orphans. Today, there are churches and organizations are in more than 90 nations. Now we are in 90 nations observing Orphan Sunday annually.
Wow.
So, and through Orphan Sunday, really, we join our hearts in the promise of one day, one voice, and one purpose to acknowledge that orphans belongs,
And family.
that God cares for the orphans, that God loves the orphans. And
Right.
that's one day, one voice, one purpose. That's the thing the thing of Orphan Sunday, and it's been observed annually now.
Wow, that's amazing. So we're really excited because you gave us some really great ideas when you shared how you were able to plant a few activities and ways that you observed it last year. And I was hoping you could share a little bit about that. How have you guys done it in the past? Like in 2019, you mentioned some really cool ideas and some stuff that you guys did last year, and would love for you to share about that.
Okay. Well, since 2012, Mike and I goes to churches and other advocates as well. Go to churches and bring the Orphan Sunday there, and we just challenge them if they can just start by praying. You know, praying for the orphans on the second Sunday of November, just to remember them, just to know that there are people and believers in churches that are praying for the orphans. And one thing also that I've done is that I wrote letters to child caring agencies and told them what Orphan Sunday is, and told them that there will be a lot of churches that will be praying for the orphans that they are caring for, and that where that if they can just I encourage them, if you can just tell your orphans, especially those that are already at their ages, not the infants, well, that tell them, encourage them that there are people praying for them, that this day is their day, that they are being remembered. I hope they are being remembered every day, supposedly, but that I brought that to awareness to them as well. So, or we ask also the churches if they can preach about orphans, about scriptures in the orphans, especially James 1:27. Also, if they can visit orphanages, and that way, they can get hold of the need. At the same time, they can see what their situations are, and to touch lives and to just see, because I can bet there are a lot of churches or a lot of Christians and believers that they haven't met any one name or one orphan in their entire life. And if you are that, I'm calling for you now to just open your hearts and know even one. So that, and then there are a lot of for the church that years. There's a lot of churches that visited orphanages. I know a one that they always do it now every year. What they do is they reach out to the teens, that are in an institution, and they bring them sometimes they bring them out to McDonald's and just have a lunch, and then sharing, they share their lives to the people that visits them, or they can do a lot of programs, and then they give a lot of gifts to them. So that it's
Great.
been done, annually.
So
But last
go
year,
ahead.
what God has impressed to me, which is it started at CAFO anyhow, is the One Child campaign, which is
Right.
I thought it was so powerful. So what I did is just I made a purse, that I asked three. I have asked three child caring agencies if they can give me the names and ages of their children that they're caring for, and because I told them that I would like to distribute it to churches so that one can be prayed by one, and so One Child campaign. And they
Wow.
did. They actually gave the names of those children that they're caring, and so that's what I thought I would make, because I said, well, pretty much everybody or most are having coin purse that pays in the jeepney, tricycle, the grocery store, and so
Really?
whenever they will get their money, they will
They're gonna
remember.
remember.
Yeah, they will remember JM, and just pray a prayer that for his protection, safety, and one day he will be adopted or fostered to a
Right.
family and be to have a permanent family. So I told them that's what you need to, and at the same time, and it was so cool, Krina, because um, one orphanage that I called, and I heard there's three already, three that got adopted.
Wow.
Oh no, one that got adopted, one that got fostered, and
Uh
then
huh.
one that got reunited to his family.
Okay.
And so that was really, I said, wow, Lord, they're so cool. So, and at the same time, I thought, well, Lord, if believers will start praying for one orphan, then they will, somehow you can touch their hearts, somehow it will come alive. And so, voila, I know God is working in that area. So that's what, uh, that's what done last year for the One Child campaign.
That's so powerful. When you shared with me a little bit about that campaign, I was so moved by it because, the power of one, just thinking about one child. I always found that it's different when you say, let me go visit the orphanage. For example, this orphanage, there's one that I would visit a lot. But as I had gone back, I started to know the kids by name. And I want to go and check on Christine. I
Correct.
want to go and check on Ethan. I want to go and check on, and the children by name, and God puts them in your heart. And I start thinking about those children.
Right.
Their faces are in my heart, in my mind, and I think about them, and God reminds me of them, and I pray about them and pray for them. And so I think that's so powerful. So I really love that initiative from last year. We're doing something similar together this year where we're gonna, because of the limitations now of this lockdown, PWO and Rohe Foundation, we're teaming up for some Orphan Sunday activities, and we're trying to really cast the net as wide as we can, and see how many families or how many individuals we can match to orphans in this kind of like the same approach, one child. And so everybody's going to be hearing more information about that. But if anybody has questions about Orphan Sunday, about organizations like CAFO and PWO, and about adoption, about foster care, and about taking in children with special needs, I know that Malen has graciously made herself available to share more about that. As you can see, she's so passionate about this. It really just runs through her veins, her love and obedience to God in this area. And so I know that you would all be encouraged. We're just checking to see if there are any questions on the chat. Do we have any questions here? A lot of people kind of just chiming in and saying, as Zenith said, love that, knowing your limitations and accepting help when needed. God does provide. Yeah, amen. It's true, because a lot of times we think we have to do it all on our own, and it can be overwhelming.
Oh yeah, easily.
But adoption is not an easy journey. Foster care is not an easy journey. You need the grace of God to get through it, regardless of the circumstance.
Yeah, Karina as well. Don't forget support group. You need to be
Right.
same heart, same mind to understand what you're going through. Believe me.
That's right. And there are some really great support groups here in the Philippines. And if anybody's watching and would like to be connected, please do send us a message at Rohe Foundation, or you could reach out to Malen directly. As I mentioned, Zenith as well as part of some support groups. I also do want to acknowledge, I know Minette was watching as well. Minette from Operation Compassion, and Minette is a social worker, and she is behind the processing of lots of foster licenses. So like Malen mentioned, she got her foster license in 3 months, and within 2 weeks she got a call. So it can go by really quickly, and if you're thinking about how do I respond, what do I do next, reach out to us. We can connect you to Minette as well and help you get set up with a foster license. Rachel Escosar was saying, parenting a child requires the grace of God, regardless of how you attained your child, biologically, through adoption, or through foster care. It's true. And Rachel herself was adopted, so she knows that firsthand. Yeah, so Jody, sorry, not Jody, Malen, before we go, I want to ask you about Jody. Tell us a little bit about Jody. I just thought you could share a little bit about her, because we will be having Jody on, if I'm not mistaken, next week. So could you tell us a little bit about Jody Jackson Tucker, get people excited for that?
Wow, yeah. You've got to tune in to listen to this powerful woman of God. She is the best. She's my mentor. Of course, she's the director of international and local Orphan Sunday, and we've journeyed together since 2012. And also, she wrote that book that I've been wanting to get. It's coming.
Me too.
And she is well, she'll tell you her story, but her story is way, way inspiring than probably mine, because she has more kids that she adopted and fostered and cared and nurtured. So believe me, she is an expert. And she's, if I talk fast and I talk bubbly, she's more. So tune in and listen to Jody Jackson Tucker. She is a great woman of God. So
okay, great. Thank you for doing that, Malen. If people want to get in touch with Malen, please let us know. We'll be happy to connect you. Malen, thank you so much to yourself, to Mike, Michaela, Mateo. Thank you for sharing your heart and the journey that you and your family have been on. Just putting it out there so many can be inspired. We continue to stand with you and your ministry and all that you do. Pray that God would bless you guys and everything that you're doing for the orphans. So thank you so much. We hope we can have you on again soon.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you too.
All right. Thanks, Malen. Okay, guys. Well, that comes to the end of this episode of What Makes a Real Mom. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Couple of reminders, as Malen mentioned, we have the privilege of getting Jody Jackson Tucker, an interview with her that you guys can catch next Saturday, if I'm not mistaken. And that's going to be really exciting. I hope you don't miss that. She is the global director for Orphan and Stand Sunday. And she has an incredible story and an incredible heart for the orphans. You won't want to miss that. Definitely tune in for that. She is also the author of, like Malen mentioned, a book called Second Mother. So I encourage you guys to look her up and let us know. Send us any questions that you might have for her. Lastly, adoption consultations. One more time, if you have any questions, or if you would like to do a consult with somebody like Malen, or a week ago you met Isa Tika, you met Zenith Badiola, you've met a lot of these great moms, these real moms who have incredible stories and journeys through adoption. If you have questions for us, or for them, and want to find out how to get started on an adoption or a foster care journey, please do reach out for us. There's a link there. It's really easy. You fill up a quick Google form and it'll schedule you for a quick adoption consult with us. And hopefully we'll be able to answer your questions there. But other than that, connect with us on social media, Facebook, Instagram. You can connect with me or any of the members of our team, and we'd be happy to help you out. So that's it for now. I hope you guys have a great Tuesday and a great rest of the week. We'll see you again next week. Bye.
I was telling her, these are the three dads. You have your biological dad, I know what it means, right? But putting it ahead, you have your logical dad, and you have your real dad, you know? So doing it this way, and eventually, before she was 5, she was asking me the questions, and we were able to sort it out really well.
We're here because adoption was God's idea, and we hope the church would catch on to that. And so that's really the heart of the Rohe Foundation.
You will impact generations of people. Because that person will be married, will have children, and children's children. I'll tell you, the impact you make in their lives will impact future generations of people. There are no unwanted children, just unfound families. I hope we can find some of them right here in this room.
This is the truth that the world needs to hear today. That adoption is at the very heart of the gospel.
That adoption is a beautiful thing. It's not plan B.
We adopted because we saw just how beautiful adoption was in the Bible.